Welcome to this blackout message with me, Solarah. I hope you guys are doing well today. It is Thursday, the 2nd of May, as I record this. I'm going to link the actual reading for this. I'm going to do a bit of a synopsis here, but I will link the full reading that I actually did in the description box in the comment section below. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I am holed up right now in my bathroom trying to escape noise that is happening outside my building right now as they do some maintenance work. And that noise was in the background of yesterday's video. I tried to mitigate it as much as I could by having all the windows closed, but it still came through. Even though it was another blackout video, it still came through. So as such, I am giving you a synopsis for those of you who want to know, as well as anything else I've picked up in that time that I wasn't able to record in that reading yesterday in that video. It's a dream download I'm sharing with you guys today. So if you want the access to the whole thing that was recorded yesterday, the sound effects in the background are not that bad, but bad enough that I didn't really want to release it publicly and have a whole bunch of stuff in the comment section. So this way, you know what you're getting into, you know there's background noise, and if you choose to pursue the message because there's more that you want to hear or you want to connect with it, then you can. But once you click on the link where you're going, and you have this preamble to know that it is a little bit noisy. And if there's any background noise being picked up on this, even though I'm in another room with the door closed, I apologize for that. It's very interesting. There's something about this message that doesn't want to really come out. I even heard, as I was getting ready to record, this is my third time trying to record, and when I finally just continued to speak past the disruptions that were coming, all of a sudden the noise outside began full throttle. So I know that something is being broken. I know there's a major density that is collapsing, and that is really the theme behind what I was picking up from this dream I had a few nights ago that I want to share with you. So before I get into it, I want to thank you for being here. Thank you if you are a returning subscriber or visitor. Welcome if you're new, if you've joined me recently. Thank you for all of your love and support. Thank you for your likes, your comments, your shares. Thank you for all the ways you appreciate me and my value and my purpose at this time on the earth planes. Thank you for your donations. Thank you to those of you who book me for services. I appreciate all the ways I'm able to not only interface with you, but also help you to go higher, because that is part of my mission and my purpose. So without further ado, let's get into it. So I will link the full reading I did yesterday. There will be some things that I repeat now that will also be in that reading, but there will be extra details for those of you who are really resonating with what it is I'm speaking here, and you feel like you might find more in the extended reading or what I recorded yesterday. So on Sunday night, the night of the Mars-Neptune conjunction in Taurus, I had a dream. And it was more like the early hours of Monday morning, I should say. So it happened a few days ago. And originally, I wanted to explore this for myself. And then my guide started to show me, nope, tune in also to the collective energies that are occurring, because everything that's happening for us personally is a reflection of what we're responding to collectively also. So to give you a bit of a synopsis on the dream, or what I remember from the dream, I was in some kind of house, and in that house, it wasn't this, I could tell it wasn't me in this lifetime, but in this house, or I shouldn't say it wasn't me from this lifetime, I should say it was a multidimensional infinite aspect of myself, but the timeline I was in the visitation of that house was not from this lifetime. That's a better way to put it. Okay, so I was in this house. I was conversing with another person. I believe it was a girl or a woman. I don't fully remember. But I remember the tone of the conversation was very celebratory because I was getting ready to move out. And that was, it was time. And it was time to move out and to move on. It was kind of like a leaving, a goodbye, but a good thing. You know, the house was a little bit dilapidated. if not in structure, then definitely in feeling. And there was this sense of graduation and this person in my dream congratulating me because I was going to the next level. Now, I knew that when I had to go, that there was someone in the basement that I owed a goodbye to. So in the dream, I go down into the basement, and lo and behold, there's a man, and he's sitting at a table and he's putting things away. Now, even though this is a basement in a home, the way that the setup was in the basement, it almost appeared like he was in some kind of cubicle, almost like an office. So it was almost like he was clearing away his work. And so when I saw him, I noted instantly the likeness that he has to my father's side. And this is a person in my dream that I've never seen in real time. I've never seen in real life. In other words, this is not a passed on loved one. This is not a living loved one that I know of, but this is a person who definitely was coming through my father's line. You could see it all in his face, the features. They were just my dad and his family, right? So, and I look a lot like that line too. So anyway, I see him and there's an instant recognition, a soul recognition, and he's packing up and he's feeling you can tell that he's been through something really hard and long, and now he is finally able to move forward. And as I come down to say goodbye, it's kind of a bittersweet farewell in the sense that he seems to be happy to be released from his assignment. That's what it felt like. It was like the release from an assignment. He seemed happy to be released from his assignment, but he also, there was some kind of melancholy, like there was a moving forward, there was going to be a separation between him and I. So it's almost like we had been together energetically through something, and there now was a split in that energy. And although we're both happy, I'm going my way, he's going his way, there's still that, that sadness of something coming to an end, even when we know it has to. Okay, so I say my goodbyes to him and I wake up and I'm pondering about the dream and I'm applying it to all the shifts that have been happening in my own reality and existence. And there have been a lot, especially since this eclipse. And I start to recognize and put together some of the puzzle pieces of what it was I've been being shown over the past few days. I kept getting these downloads towards the end of last week. And that was all about how generational diseases can no longer continue or perpetuate in the bodies of certain beings. Okay, so generational diseases can no longer perpetuate in the bodies of certain beings. And when I say bodies, I'm using that term loosely. I am speaking about the physical body, so genetic illnesses, etc. But I'm also speaking about the things that have been passed down to us that reside in other bodies of our energy. So the spiritual stories and traps that we've been a part of because of our connection to certain bloodlines, they're broken, they're dissolved, right? The mental stories, the mindsets that produced our trauma cycles and kept us generationally tied, doing things that harm self and one another due to family traditions, it's broken. The dissolution of the emotional wounding that we carry up to 3 generations, for example, of matrilineal wounding. That's an emotional energy that passes from in utero by the waters. And this is how we know it's emotional. And it's so powerful that it can imprint us on the cellular level and have an effect on our nervous systems. And in fact, my argument is that this is partly what has allowed ascension. And this is partly what we're seeing in ascension. So what I mean by that is that we have seen an influx of light beings entering, high frequency beings entering into this planet over the past couple of decades. But what we've also noticed is an influx in what they call in the matrix, autism and spectrum diseases, not diseases, but disorders, because that's their language, not mine. I don't see it as a disease or a disorder, that they call people on the spectrum. And on the spectrum, we know means you're a rainbow person. And they put that out for us to as part of their letting us know what's going on without. They have to show us what's actually going on. They have to show us that they're aware. It's part of how they create their loopholes through universal law. They have to show their hand, but they don't have to explain it to you. And furthermore, they continue to program you away from the truth so that when these things pop up, you don't even question them until now. Many of you are diving into everything now, and there's a message behind everything, and that's how they duped us. So children, people who are on the spectrum, tend to be high frequency beings, and these things don't happen by accident. Everything in the universe has an order. So if we need something to be materialized, it's not just going to be materialized out of thin air. There has to be a process through which that occurs. And so for me, my interest in all of this, and I've come to the conclusion, and you don't have to agree with me, that the reason why so many high frequency beings are actually able to come through at this time is also because of the traumatization of our nervous systems and passing that on. So what I mean by that is that the false matrix weakened our nervous systems, and then we're producing children in that weakened state. And yes, you could see that as a disadvantage. It does have its disadvantages, but you could also see the purpose in it. And the purpose in it, from what I'm noting, is that a weakened nervous system produces a nervous system that is further heightened and very sensitive to its environment and its surroundings. And so what we have is we're growing generations of hypersensitive beings, but really what we're doing is we're bringing them back on the planet because that's what's necessary to shift the vibration again back into a place where we all become super aware and in tune with our emotional bodies again, so we can stop the trauma stories. We can stop traumatizing ourselves and one another and creating that on the earth. So there's a very grand purpose in every single thing that occurs. There's not like the tiniest of details that happen in our day-to-day life or in our existential truth as individuals and as a collective that doesn't have a true purpose in helping us to evolve. That's how miraculous and powerful and beautiful and awesome we are. Okay, so to go back to the message, what I was seeing is there is a dissolution of certain genetic information that has been passed on and on for many incarnations or many generations. And this man was showing me, he was a representation of the root energy. He was in the basement, first and foremost. The basement is, when you think about it on an energetic level, you can think about it as the subconscious. You could think about it as the root energy behind the hidden energy, behind all the patterns that play out in a home or in an energy that we're not really aware of. Nobody's like, for the most part, if you live in a house and you have a basement, unless you've reconstructed that basement into another room, most people aren't going down into the basement on a daily basis. A lot of the time, the basement was a place where the true mechanics of the house were hidden. Right? So in this dream, it was like returning to the root energy, and not just the root energy, but the founder of that energy. So in other words, before a tradition, a mindset, a disease becomes established enough to repeat itself generationally speaking, somebody has to open the door. And it feels like whoever opened the door to this generational dysfunction was stuck for as long as we were repeating that. So in other words, for as long as we were blindly and unconsciously doing things in our family that we'd been taught for generations that it was right. And I'm not just talking about it on an individual family level, I'm talking about it on a human family level too. Right? So for as long as we were living in the world and we, we were repeating the very cycles that unfortunately were destroying us, and we didn't realize realize because we weren't going into the basement to see the mechanics and the templates of the energies that we were blindly just adding to. For as long as we were doing that, we were keeping that energy alive, the root energy alive. And if you're dealing with take it back to the micro level, take it back to an individual family, your family, my family, bloodlines, if you look at it from that standpoint, then you're dealing with one individual that opened the door before other beings started to add to that energy. And so because that being is the originator of said energy that has been growing and cycling over many generations, that being was stuck in a soul lesson they couldn't graduate from because everyone was keeping that door open. And it's their responsibility to shut it. What we create, and especially what we give origin to, it's our sole responsibility to learn the lessons we have to learn in order to shut it down. If it's destructive to us and to humankind, to other organic life forms, it's part of our the way that we evolve and the way that we ascend. And so I say all of this because this being has been locked in the basement, locked in the consequences of opening a door that became revolving, that everyone now was going through and magnifying, multiplying the energy. And in that multiplication of energy by others, he was unable to release himself and close that door. I hope I'm making sense here. So whatever it is, if this is your message, whatever it is that you've been doing through your healing, through your clearing, through your, refusing to repeat these cycles and breaking these generational patterns and curses within yourself. By doing that, you've actually allowed this person now to close the door on the root energy to pack up and leave and move to their next soul lesson. So very, very big energy. So when you think about that on a personal level, it can be an individual soul, an individual family member, a founding family member, you could say, but it also extends on a macro level in terms of what is happening right now on the earth planes. So in other words, the founding energies that began the matrix, the doors that were open to bring that in, the origin, have now been closed. And as such, the only way that the energies that those doors opened and allowed can actually continue and thrive is if we're taking those things and replanting the seeds. But the actual genesis of the energy, it's done. It's done with. And this is what we've been doing. And I've explained this in other readings before, is that when we are ascending, we are dealing with layer upon layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of densities that we must collapse. First of all, we must acknowledge, we must see, and then we must do what we have to do on an individual level to clear those densities to get closer to the truth. And so for some people, the clearing of densities is going to be a lighter affair because maybe they're younger souls, or maybe they've done a lot of this work in the past, or maybe that's just not their role in this ascension. This is why we're all so different and we can't compare journeys. And for other beings, the densities that they have to collapse are greater. Some beings came here and took on the responsibility of the densities of entire bloodlines to clear. And as such, all of us, our journeys and the strength of the resistance we've faced and the hardship is in direct reflection to the level of densities we've been sent to collapse on behalf of not only ourselves, but family lines and the collective. And this is not me saying that we're going out in the world and we're changing people and family. No, this is in deep internal work. This is the work of beings who fully understand and overstand the power of their holographic makeup to the extent that you don't have to change anyone. You don't have to go into your family line and tell them about generational curses. You don't have to do any of that. You can, but you actually don't have to do that. All you have to do is collapse those stories within yourself, because it's almost like you hold the template upon which all these energies have been stored. And when you, as a master, key holder of those energies begin to collapse them in self, they cannot survive in the structures, in the family lines that they've been perpetuating through. And so it's almost like when I say that now, I'm brought back to the dream download even more, because some of you are masters that were sent to these bloodlines in order not to only liberate for the descendants that are coming forth, but to also set those ones free who opened the original door to the energy that has had their family lines cycling through trauma, for many, many lifetimes for most of us since the previous fall of the golden age, the fall of the previous golden age, I should say, rather, which many will attribute to the Atlantean timelines. So what I was seeing in this was that, and for this to come through also means that if this is your reading, you've entered that level of mastery where your contract and what it was you were supposed to do for this bloodline, whether it's your own family bloodline or whether you're a being who you don't only hold the master keys to the family energy dynamic, but you hold them to another collective dynamic, meaning that you came here with the ability to collapse certain densities internally that match you up with what's happening in the collective trauma story, meaning that your journey is going to be even more intense, because you're not only dealing with family densities that you have to collapse through your own energy, but you're also dealing with big collective stories and themes that are also dissolving through your energy fields as you do the work. Because again, we're all holographic beings and the work is always internal. If we want to change the external reality, we must work on the internal. And some beings, the shifting of what they're doing internally has an effect on not just their reality, but also on the realities of whole families, whole nations, the whole earth. That's how big it is. So the amount of densities, pain, hardship, trials that you have to go through, it's oftentimes a reflection to the heaviness of densities that you've been sent to collapse very uniquely through your own energetic blueprint, based upon the master keys that you hold to that energy. You know how there's a master key in a house and it can open any door? That's kind of what it is. It's like you have the master key to certain energies. You can open and close doors that shouldn't be opened, or rather you can open doors that shouldn't be closed, and you can close doors that shouldn't be open, and you can reconfigure the proper energy layout so that once again things are cycling harmoniously, and the traumas that the trauma cycles that were allowed to perpetuate because the doors that needed to be opened were closed and the doors that needed to be closed were open. You're bringing back the order that is necessary for harmony to flow and to push out the trauma stories, the trauma cycles, and the way that energy was circulating through you, because you hold the master key. So it's been exemplifying itself through you this whole lifetime, but also how it's been flowing many generations, through family lines and also through our earth. So I hope this makes sense. If this is your message, it will. It's a very big time. It means that you have re-access some very important master keys, master codes, however you want to put it, because you always were the key holder and you've risen into that position. And in doing that, you shut down certain things that were never supposed to be open. And you have liberated those who have been guilty of opening those things, whether consciously or unconsciously, to go forward and to continue to evolve. So this man is no longer stuck in the basement. He's able to learn from the mistakes he made now, and he's able to move forward. And this is bringing me back to, a whole other message and truth, and that is that the matrix was also built upon the binding of lower resonating or lower vibrational consciousnesses that we refer to as demons. And here's the thing. Every single life form, no matter how low its vibration or consciousness is, every life form has the right to ascend and to learn the soul lessons it needs to raise its own frequency. And for as long as these greedy assholes were binding these lower vibrational energies to do their bidding, they were actually breaking universal laws, because they were stopping the ability of these lower vibrational consciousnesses to be able to learn the soul lessons they needed to learn in order to rise, because they were binding them to create material wealth on this planet, because lower vibrational energies tend to be very connected to the material mechanics of the earth plane. So they were binding them. And so as such, I need you to understand and overstand, if you don't already, that on every plane of consciousness that connects to the earth story, there were bindings going on. And whether you think demons are bad or good, it doesn't matter. They're still a creation of source, and they have a purpose. And they were denying, excuse me, they were denying the powers that were, the architects, and then all of these orders, societies, and covens that were doing these rituals to bend universal laws and to control the material resources of this earth. They were doing so by binding these entities also, right? So these entities deserve to have the freedom to evolve also. They're not supposed to be bound in order to produce material wealth, or bound in order to attack high frequency beings on the earth. That's not their purpose. And when they do that and they're out of alignment, and we're living in a world that is harmonious, there are instant repercussions for that. But because we were living in the false matrix where they were doctoring and controlling the energies, these beings that have been being used against us nefariously, some of them wanted to be, and that's fine. Others were bound. They haven't been able to get the lessons they need to correct themselves. And understand and overstand that a lesson is a lesson, whether we bring it upon ourselves through karmic suffering or whether we bring it upon ourselves through dharmic joy. It's the lesson we need to evolve. So, and that's a mechanism of the earth that was put there so that we wouldn't need policing. In other words, when our earth is in harmony, these lower vibrational entities are not able to attack us without having instant repercussions that put them back into their place. But because of all of the fuckery of the matrix, and again, I'm going to use that analogy, doors being open that should have been closed, doors that were closed that should have been open, everyone was running amok. You get what I'm saying? All of these energies were running amok. Nobody was actually doing what it was that they were here to do divinely, because everyone was being spellcast, binded, used, manipulated, puppeteered for alternative purposes. So to make a very long story short, and then I'm going to close this out. There is a very real, on a very personal level for some of you, there has been a closing out now of the karmic family story and era. And this is going to be very important because for some of you, you've been really dealing with the revelations of these energies since the full moon in Capricorn in 2022, when the karmic contracts you held with certain families and bloodlines, they expired, whether it's your own family or whether you even are here to deal with serving the balance karmically that other bloodlines need also. And some of you it's beyond your own bloodline for some of you, right? But either way, those karmic family contracts that were promoting quantum entanglement and the re-traumatization of beings through the family institution, they were closed out on the full moon in Capricorn in 2022. And whenever a contract closes out, it doesn't necessarily mean all of a sudden that the contract is closed for the beings that were stuck in it. What it means is that the terms of what was actually occurring that you weren't aware of, they become blatantly obvious. Because now you, of your own volition, through your energy and healing processes, have to choose. Am I going to realign myself with the very energies that were imprisoning me in this contract? Or am I going to break this contract within me? Am I going to break the energies that once upon a time bound me to this contract now that I see what is happening? And in order to afford you that ability to make that decision, you must see what you're working with. So this is why from 2022, the attacks and the attacking energies have been so real and so prevalent. I tell people, all the time. It's not that the attacks increased. It's that you were actually able to see them now happening in real time. This is what was happening in the basement before, and you weren't aware of it because you were living your life and you weren't connected to that level of consciousness that would allow for you to see and access what was truly happening. You weren't going into the basement. And in 2022, you got the key back to the basement and you got to see what was really going on and to then make a decision of what it was you were going to do. Now, many people, reopen contracts or start new contracts with the same energy in their realities by not understanding and overstanding what's happening. And what is happening is that we were being shown what we'd been harboring and what we'd been living through invisibly and in the dark. It was coming to the light in the past 2 years for us to make a decision. A lot of people fall into fear and they think everything is getting worse. No, everything wasn't getting worse. When things start to come to the light and you're actually able to see them, for as long as you don't fall into the fear of believing that because you're seeing it now, that everything is worse, as long as you don't fall into that fear programming, you're actually coming out into the light of a new era, the light of a new chapter. So, yes, I think that's all I'm going to share for now. If you want any more information or pick up on more intricacies that I may not have picked up on in this message, I will leave the link to the other video below. In all frankness, this transmission that I'm sharing with you right now is quite comprehensive and it gives you a full synopsis. But in that other reading, I also actually did pull cards also at the end, I believe. So yes, this is where I'm going to get going and start my homeschooling day with my children. But I'm sending you guys so much love, joy, peace, every beautiful thing under the sun that is your birthright and ultimately opens up to you when you choose to walk into alignment with your truth and your power. For all information on how to work with me, please feel free to check out my website, solarah.info. If you would like to donate to my channel and my well-being, you can do so through my PayPal, my Ko-Fi. If you'd like to join me over on SUBSTACK for my daily alchemy writings and, my energy updates that are a lot more regular over there, then you can definitely do that. All information that I'm sharing with you now will be in the description box and in the comment section below. For those of you who are interested in the dates that you can meet with me this month for group Q&As, that information will be put up on the community board very soon. And for those of you who are SUBSTACK members, the information will also be coming through that platform, as well as the information for those of you who are my monthly and annual patrons on Substack. You get a monthly Q&A as part of your membership with me. That's happening on May the 19th, Sunday, May the 19th, and I will be sharing more information about that too. Okay, so I think that's everything. I will be back again. I have more messages. I'll probably be doing more of these Black Hat messages today, and I will see you again soon. Take care. Bye.